Were you in the same boat as me at the end of the film when Tyler gets creamed by that crowbar? You thought he was dead?
Oh, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I
straight up.
100% thought he was dead. I'm like, what the fuck? That's how you're gonna end it?
Yeah,
But
like
then
that
you
was
see
a
him
good.
in the back seat, and I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, thank God you didn't kill a guy just because he owed money. Like seriously, that was been so dumb.
One, two, three, four.
Welcome to Nerd Taku Podcast, where we watch it so you don't have to. I'm your host Eli. With me is my co-host Ben.
Hello, listeners. Happy to be here.
This week we're reviewing the 2019 action comedy drama The Peanut Butter Falcon. Spoiler warnings ahead. Ben, my dude, as always, are there spoilers?
Oh, hell yeah.
Directors: Tyler Nielsen, Michael Schwartz. Main cast: Zach Gossigan, Dakota Johnson, Shia LaBeouf. Ben, this 2019 film was good. Made you feel good. Made you feel that watching this film, that life is simple with the main guy having a dream and he pursues it. Initially, when I watched this film, I just felt good overall. I just felt really happy to see his adventure with his soon-to-be best friend. What were your initial thoughts when you watched this film?
I rated this pretty high when watching the trailer. I expected quite a bit, and it sure as hell delivered. I was very impressed with this film. It had a great story, great character development, amazing acting all throughout. It was a beautiful story of this kid that just wanted his dream to come true, and it did. And it's beautiful. I loved it.
On IMDb, this film got a 7.6 out of 10. And the synopsis for this film is Zach, a man with Down syndrome, runs away from a residential nursing home to pursue his dream of becoming a wrestler. Later, he meets with an outlaw who becomes his friend and coach. I think initially when I rated this trailer, I was expecting it to be good, but it beat my expectations. I did truly found this story to be fun. I rated this an 8.5.
I gave it a 10.
Wow, a 10. This film must have knocked your socks off then.
It's just a beautiful story.
Let's get into this. Let's start with plot.
Obviously, it's a 1.
I gave it a 0.75.
Tell me why.
So this is more on, I like the story it gave. This story is exactly what the synopsis says. It's about a Down syndrome kid going for his dream of being a wrestler. And throughout, I found it to be fun, but by the end, it felt like it was a little bit dragging to me. I felt like it was a little bit, but overall, I enjoyed the story, but I wasn't like fully invested. I wasn't grasping it. I kept losing the attention with the plot. It felt like a lot of the time they were sitting there, they were doing their little hangout chants, like naming himself, and it was very quiet, and I wasn't focused fully. So the 0.75 is for the fact that it was good, but it didn't captivate me. The plot didn't fully captivate me. I love the story. It was a really good one, but I just couldn't find how to keep it going for me.
I disagree, just solely that it starts out with you first meet both Zach and Tyler in two different situations. Zach is stuck in this nursing home and he wants to get out, and he convinces one of the residences to fake their choking so all of the orderlies will come and help this lady, and he bolts out the door, and all he has to do is bribe her with a damn pudding cup.
That one was a
Fucking
good
great.
part. That was a great beginning.
Gets out, then they get him back. He gets put on house arrest, gets his activities taken away, and his roommate is a retired engineer. So he creates this system to bend the bars that they put on his window. He lathers himself up, gets out, and leaves in his fucking underwear. He doesn't take his clothes and throw them out the window before he walks out. He just lathers himself up, gets out, and goes. Tyler's story is he's stealing people's crab traps that his brother used to own before he died. He no longer has the license for the crab traps. these other people do. And so he goes and empties the crab traps before the others can get out and get them. And the whole story of Tyler is revolving around this group of people hunting him down for burning their supplies, thousands and thousands of dollars worth of traps. It's basically two people with a past who end up finding each other, and Tyler doesn't want anything to do with Zach at first until he finds out from Eleanor that she's looking for him. And Tyler goes back out to Zach after seeing Eleanor, and that's what connects Tyler and Zach together. Tyler's like, "You're a little fugitive, man. All right, now we can actually connect. Let's do this. Let's get you to your wrestling place. It's right down from where I'm going, so let's go." So he takes Zach with him, and then throughout their adventures, they start to create a special bond between each other, and it's amazing because nobody just starts out friends. You just can't.
No,
you have
can't.
to get to know each other. You have to have the slow moments in your life, and that's what the movie portrayed. There's some slow moments, yes, but it's them getting to really know each other, and that's what creates this really strong bond between Zach and Tyler. Then Eleanor finally catches up with them, and she agrees to go with them because Zach throws her fucking keys into the water.
Yeah, that was funny. That was a funny part, and I thought
So to be able to watch over Zach, Eleanor joins him, and Tyler starts telling Eleanor, "Stop treating him like that. He's a person. He's just like us. You got to stop doing that." And Eleanor realizes the exact same thing. There's no reason to treat Zach any different than another person. She worked at this nursing home, and so that's what she had to do. That's what she thought she had to do until she went on to this adventure. And she herself started to develop as well. And so all the characters connect. All of them come together. They finally get Zach to where he's going. It's so powerful. It's so great. And I just got to say, Jasper, the blind preacher, fucking amazing character. He's in
so
for
good.
5 minutes, 2 times, about 5 minutes. Great character. Probably my favorite character in the whole thing, but he was awesome. That's just a side rant over there, but the story is amazing. And it's just, I fucking loved it. Their connection throughout, their bonding, superb.
All right, I'll give it to you. I'll give you the 1 because you brought up some points that I did forget. You know, it was an overall good story that you don't see often. This is a story that you don't really see often portrayed in cinema. And for what this story is about, it's very wholesome and it hits you in the heart.
Agreed.
Acting.
It's 1.
I gave it a 1. Shia LaBeouf, he was going through a rough patch in his career. And this film, I believe, brought him back into he can act. He's a serious actor. Because, yes, this film is a comedy, but it deals with serious topics. Like the fact that Shia LaBeouf lives in his mind his whole life that he's the reason why his brother's dead. That because of that one glimpse of a memory that you see in the film of him falling asleep behind the wheel after a night of going to the bar. You see Shia LaBeouf grow as this new person almost. And with Zach being basically his wingman in the whole film, his co-star, it was such a beautiful story. And I loved how Shia LaBeouf did it. And surprisingly, Dakota Johnson knocked it out with her role. I loved her in this film because of the fact that she truly does care about Zach, but hates the job she's at because she hates wiping asses and taking care of old people. But she really has a close relationship with Zach. And by the end, she realizes that Zach is a human. And Shia LaBeouf's character, Tyler, shows her that. And it's so beautiful. And with Zach was the comedy. He brought in the humor. He showed what it is to be someone with Down syndrome who won't get defeated. He wants his dreams to be real. And that's inspiring to see that from someone who struggles with that. And it was overall just an incredible starring cast. You couldn't ask for a better 3-star cast for this type of buddy comedy film.
I have to agree. I truly feel like Shia LaBeouf really brought back what he used to be. Back when he was Holes, Even Stevens, iRobot, Constantine, Greatest Game Ever Played, Disturbia, all those, you know? I feel like he went off the rails for a while, but he really brought back what he used to be. This character was so easy to connect with through LaBeouf's acting. Just amazing. Dakota Johnson, I've never been a huge fan of Dakota Johnson. but I felt like she fit the part of Eleanor pretty well. Someone who is disconnecting from the world day by day, going through her job, has to do the same thing, and then wants to help Zach, but through the eyes of a caretaker and not a friend, until she goes on to this adventure. And the way that Dakota portrayed this just felt like you could really bond with her. You could really feel that this person is changing, and it was easy to see. Again, not a huge Dakota Johnson fan, but she matched Eleanor pretty damn well. Now, Zach, everything about Zach was just so easy to connect with. He was so fun. All he wanted, his biggest goal, was to be able to meet his hero and wrestle at his hero's wrestling school, Saltwater Redneck. That's all he wanted. And the only way he could get this goal was to get the hell out of that freaking nursing home. And so he did. He escaped. He had this adventure with Tyler, and just watching him grow, watching him connect with Tyler, watching him finally meet his goal was beautiful. And in the way that Zach Gottsagen portrayed Zach, I mean, I'm pretty sure he was just being himself throughout the whole role, which was beautiful. So easy to connect with. There's no way you could dock this. The cast was just all around perfect.
One little thing is that Zach reminds me of my brother.
Oh,
So it was-
absolutely. That's one thing. That is another thing that really just brought me so close to this film. I was just like, I mean, yeah, definitely different goals, but I'm just like,
when we were kids, my brother's biggest goal was to meet Mickey Mouse and like Goofy and all that at Disney World. And when I was 11, we got the special needs pass, and we skipped a 2.5 hour line to meet Mickey. And the light in that child's eye, he was 10 years old at the time. And years later, my dad would go up to him would tell him, Noah, those aren't real. And he's like, yeah, Dad, it is real. Look. And he hangs on to that photo of meeting Mickey Mouse and Goofy.
I love that
He
kid
met
so
all
much.
of them. My brother is one of the goofiest little turds in the world, but I'd give anything for that kid. That kid is one of my best friends, and I would do anything for him. He's my bowling buddy. I have to follow for the bowling buddy. He loves it. Character development.
That's a 1.
This is a 1. I will say this. Tyler and Zach, some of the best dynamics in a character development I could think of in film that we've watched recently. I love their relationship when it became strangers and Tyler was so aggressive, like, what do you want? Are you following me? And then it became this whole thing of friendship and Tyler understanding that, my own brother's gone, but I want to treat you like a brother. I'll be the brother that you never had and who I lost. And I'll try to be your big brother. And it's just such a magical thing to see that relationship blossom in such a fashion that it did. My favorite scenes with them, it's in the trailer. He's like, rule number 1, I'm the leader. Rule number 2, keep up. What's rule number 1? Party. No. Like, I just love the dynamic. He's like, no, stop. That reminds me of my brother when I go, hey, where are we going? The mall? No, we're not going to the mall. Really? I thought we were. Like, the jokingness of it and just the humor, and it was just so good. And I did like Dakota Johnson, Eleanor, and Tyler. I like their relationship, how it became this really greasy beginning at the gas station. And then over time, you see her loosen up and actually become this kind of beautiful character of she learns to let go and say, screw the system, screw the retirement home. He's not going to this group home that's full of druggies and losers. He's not a loser. Zach's not a loser. So she decides to take the chance and by the end, basically adopt him in a sense. And it was just so good. I really do appreciate what this film did in its development.
I completely agree. Tyler was an abrasive. He didn't like people much. He didn't like people much because of what happened with his brother. He couldn't connect to anybody, and he just wanted to be left alone and get to Florida. Zach is a character who just wanted his dream to come true. They end up meeting each other. They're not connected at first, and then throughout, they start to get to know each other, really connect, and Tyler really does become the big brother to Zach. He does a bunch of shit for him. He teaches him, He trains him. They're drunk by the fire. That's when they really connect, because Tyler is telling Zach all this different stuff, and then he's just like, you know what? You need a name. He creates him the wings out of branches, right?
Yeah.
And then the Falcon. And then Zach's like, the peanut butter Falcon. And they start putting peanut butter on his face. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful connection. Their development is just absolutely superb. And then Eleanor joins the picture. They clash. They fight. Zach throws the keys into the water. She ends up joining them. And that's when she starts to really loosen up, starts to connect with Tyler a little more, a lot more with Zach. Then Tyler and Eleanor start to get this romance going. And it's a slow going, slow paced romance. It doesn't just happen like in a lot of films. It's not the main focus of the film. And so it's actually slow going. And it was a good development that helped build her character. Then by the end, Tyler gets whacked by one of the guys finally that's been chasing him. And you think he's dead because they're at the hospital and they're crying and they're sad and they're driving, and at the end, and you see the sign Florida, and then Tyler's in the back seat. We finally made it. And it's all three of them together like a little family. And it's beautiful. There's just so much development going on between these three characters. There's no way you could dock it to lower than a 1. That's all this film is development between all three of these characters. So amazing.
Were you in the same boat as me at the end of the film when Tyler gets creamed by that crowbar? You thought he was dead?
Oh, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I
straight up
100% thought he was dead. I'm like, what the fuck? That's how you're going to end it?
Yeah.
But then you see him in the back seat and I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, thank God you didn't kill a guy just because he owed money. Like, seriously, that was been so dumb. Sound and music.
So 1.
I gave it a 0.5.
Why?
Wasn't stand out. I didn't find anything that was too amazing. I would say that nothing was rememberable. I know it was more of a Southern Bayou type music style, but really nothing was. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It wasn't like I'm fence lining it. It was kind of just there to give a background. It wasn't something that was awe inspiring. You know, it was set in North Carolina's Bayou, basically the swamplands, and you put in a banjo and a little bit of background noise with it and some and a little Southern music. You got something that works. Nothing stood out.
I disagree. I feel like the music did well to connect you to each scene that it was in, especially when it's just Tyler and Zach practicing in the background. There's no noise. All it is them doing their wrestling moves and the music's playing. It's strong enough to keep you into that scene. When Tyler first goes back to help Zach because Zach can't swim and the kid is trying to push Zach into the water, Tyler ends up getting up there and punches the fucking kid in the face, and the music starts to intensify, grabs Zach and starts running away. Then there's when Eleanor comes into the picture, and they're the second time you see them, they're sitting at the campfire at night, and Tyler and Eleanor are just talking while Zach is sleeping, and she's trying to get and understand why Tyler is doing this for Zach. The quiet but still attentive and solemn music playing in the background, quite strong and connecting. And when Zach finally makes it into the ring against, I can't remember his name, but it's the big guy. He's got his costume on. They're fighting, and he's not holding back like he promised he was going to do. And they're trying to get Zach up, trying to get him fighting, trying to get his adrenaline pumping. Tyler's there, Eleanor's there. They're trying to get him going, and he lifts the guy over his head. You've got that high, intense, strong, dramatic music playing. You've got the guy coming towards Tyler with the fucking crowbar. You don't know what's going to happen. Zach throws the guy out. The crowbar hits Tyler. Dramatic. Black screen. It builds up and then boom, gone. And then goes into silence as they're in the hospital with, again, sad, solemn music playing as Eleanor has her hands over her face, crying, making you think that Tyler is dead. Everything about what they chose for music in the background connects you to every single scene in this film. I don't know what you're saying about it being 50-50. It really does pull you in.
See, you brought up some scenes that I remember that they were strong, but realistically, those were really important scenes where they sit downs. But like in between scenes when they're walking and such, I just found it generic. I'm bringing it up to a 0.75. I just can't give it a 1. I cannot. Cinematography and animation.
It's a 1.
I gave it a 0.75. I found the CGI work was a little cringy at the end. I understood the situation. It was in the wrestling ring. When Zach threw the wrestler.
That was the point. It was supposed to be cringy.
Yeah, but it looked bad. I'm sorry. It looked bad.
Yeah.
The technicality in me was like, I couldn't deal with it. It was a 0.75. Everything else was great, but that was just, I don't know. I just couldn't. It was just cringy to me.
It was supposed to be.
I don't believe it, but yeah.
You don't
I don't think it should have been cringy. That shouldn't have been a cringy moment. That should have been such a high point for Zach because he's overcoming the wrestler he's facing. It shouldn't look bad. It shouldn't. Why do you think it should have looked cringy? Why?
Because have you ever watched a wrestling match?
Yes, they're all fake and
all it was just to portray the fakeness in an actual wrestling match.
Yeah.
He was on the other side of the ring and threw him across the ring and past the crowd. It's showing the exaggeration of wrestling.
Yeah.
That was the point of it.
And see, when I looked at it, I just thought it didn't look good to me. But I do say overall, this film has good cinematography. It was really nice to see a different type of styling when it came to doing over the head shots in the cornfield and the close-ups that you saw. I really did like the chase scenes they did with the boats. I really liked how they silenced the boat and you see Shia LaBeouf looking for the boat and you just see the other boat in the marsh just looking around, and I thought it was good. But CGI work to me, I understand that it was supposed to be fake, but I just didn't like it.
Didn't bother me.
Yeah.
I paid more attention to the cinematics throughout as far as dark tones, which I absolutely hate, but they worked really well in this film because of where they put them. Tyler getting struck with the crowbar and it going into a black screen and then light coming back on as they're in the hospital with just music in the background, no sound, no noise, and Eleanor covering her face, giving you the thought of him actually passing away. Like you said, overhead shots of the cornfields, of them running through the cornfield, walking through the cornfield, them playing around in the water, almost getting hit by a boat. The intensity in that scene, there's just so much throughout cinematic wise that it was beautiful. I mean, obviously it's no 1917, but it is damn good. It was very well done.
Mm-hmm. Directing.
What's a 1?
I gave that a 1. Why did you give it a 1, Ben?
How could you not give it a 1? Everything about this was beautiful. The story in of itself was written by the directors. They knew exactly what they wanted and how they wanted it delivered, and it was. Shia LaBeouf, Dakota Johnson, Zach just hit it out of the ballpark. They gave you the plot, delivered it beautifully. The acting was amazing. Your character development was all there. Your cinematography was outstanding throughout. Your sound and music connected you to the story. Just everything about this film worked. There were no real hiccups. It was beautiful. They knew what they wanted. They delivered it. They knew how they wanted their characters to be portrayed. They directed their actors into giving off these characters the way they wanted them to. It was just stupendous.
I find the direction of the two directors it was very creative on how they portrayed this story. I really did like overall the grand scheme of what they wanted to deliver. Yes, they wrote the story and it was really well done. I really do applaud these two for combining their brains together to make this story about a wonderful kid trying to make his dreams happen. And on the way, he made a friend. Such a simplistic story that they made have a complex emotion to. Attraction.
The 1.
I gave it a 0.75. And my 0.75 is because I got distracted. I get veered. I wasn't fully focused. And because of that, I could not personally give it a 1 because my attention was not glued to the screen. I was watching it and I was there for the whole time, but I would answer a text message here and there. I would check something if my wife yelled for me. And yeah, I got distracted a little bit. And because of that, I didn't tell anyone 1 sec. I didn't put my phone down. I answered things. So I got to give the 0.75.
I'm the opposite. I did not step away from the screen. I felt a very deep connection to this story just because I grew up with your brother and I did peer tutoring in high school for 3 years. And I just loved seeing the growth of Zach and his sheer passion. I felt a huge connection to Zach, and I loved the development between Tyler and Zach and Eleanor, and I didn't look away. I never got distracted. I kept my focus on the screen. It was a story that hit a place in my heart that made it so that I wanted to see where it was going, and I wasn't going to look away until I found that ending, and I just loved it.
Dialogue.
I won.
I gave it a 1. One of my favorite lines. It was in the trailer. It's one of my favorite lines because it reminds me of my brother. It was when they were sitting on their makeshift raft that they made. And Zach goes up to Tyler and says, I'm paraphrasing this, I think. I want to give you all my wishes for my birthday. And for me, when I was growing up, my brother got basically everything he wanted. And for Zach to be that selfless was very just nice to see it. And over the years, my brother's been very giving and very kind about everything. But hearing that, it was just like, that's what a brother does. That's what a friend does. That's what someone like my brother, he has autism. Those people with special needs, they're willing to give anything to you if you are fully kind to them. If you are the kindest person, treat them like they're human, they'll give you anything. They'll give you their shirt off their back, their favorite movie. They'll eat with you, their favorite food. Like, they'll do anything for you. And Zach doing that, it was just such a profound and very deep moment. And with Tyler, you could see the emotion that he felt because of losing his brother, and he's been down, hitting hard. No one believes in him. No one thinks he's good. He's just a bum. And that one line, to me, basically made the film in itself of the connection they had. I really did like that line. And I also did, like before, I like the line of, okay, number 1, I'm the leader. Number 2, you keep up with me. What's number 1? Party. No. Those lines right there, just so good.
There are a lot of lines in this film that were great. Your line was actually the strongest one. I also had that, but you basically already talked about that, so I'm just going to move on. I love the back and forth that just goes on between Zach and Tyler throughout the whole film. It's just a lot of beautiful banter back and forth. There's also, as I was saying before, they're drunk and they're talking under this tree and they're talking about being a good guy or a bad guy. And the paraphrase line is Tyler is talking to Zach. Zach's former coach tells him that he can never be a professional wrestler because of his Down syndrome. And Tyler tells him, man, fuck your coach. Not everyone can be a famous basketball star. You ain't going to be able to dunk a ball, but you're strong, Zach. You can do this. You're strong. He's trying to motivate him and push him. And then he says, you know what? You need a name. He builds him those wings, then puts peanut butter on his face. They just really connect. It's beautiful, amazing. Obviously, I delivered the lines like shit, but it's still, if you watch it, you feel the connection between the two. Then Eleanor goes up to Jasper after Zach and Tyler had already been through. She knocks on his door, and for a little reference, Jasper is blind. And Eleanor comes up to his door. He opens the door, and she says, sorry to bother you, sir. Have you seen this young man? And shows him a picture. And the only line that comes out of his mouth, I ain't seen shit, girl. And he's blind. He's looking down. He's got his freaking cane. It made me laugh so freaking hard. There are a lot of comedic lines throughout this film. And that one, like I said, Jasper, probably my favorite character. Again, he's only in for a few minutes, couple scenes, but fucking great. And then I loved listening to them explain to Eleanor about their secret handshake, and it's only for cool shit. One of the things that happens was dodging a boat, almost dying by getting run over by a boat, and catching fish with his hands, and all this different stuff that they've done together. And there's just so much beautiful back and forth. There's so much amazing dialogue in this film that you really connect with the characters. You really connect with the story that's going on. It's just great. And it has the comedy. It really does. It's a serious adventure story with comedy mixed in. Just amazing. Fucking loved it.
Scenery.
The one.
I gave it a 1. To get the bayou feeling, it gave it. Like, straight up, it gave that bayou, like, southern North Carolina vibe, marshy plains. I liked the fact that they kept it tried and true with keeping it in the southern feeling, where you saw maybe a convenience store, maybe your local grocery store, and that's basically it. You didn't get into a major city. It was out in the marshlands. And no one really knows about that little strip of islands right there because no one talks about it. So it was really a nice new look into a film to show the southern feeling, because I feel like every time you watch these southern films, you're more talking about Alabama, Louisiana, you got Mississippi. No one's talking about North Carolina. And I really did like the new atmosphere it gave.
I agree. I felt like I could actually see areas that I've never seen in film before. It was beautiful. They're along the water for most of this film, and they're in different spots every day, camping in different spots. Every night's in a different place. You have some forestry areas, and some of it's just beach areas. Some of it's marshlands. It's just all over different places, and it was impressive. Like you said, it's places that aren't seen. Nobody knows about. And it showed it all on their way down the coast to get to Florida. That's what their main goal is.
Finally, recommend.
Oh, 100%. Easy one.
I give it a 1. For this film, the connection I had with someone with the condition, I remember growing up in high school, because my brother's autistic, I got to meet so many of the kids in the class. And they're some of the funniest people I've ever met. Like, it was just so good. And because of this film, you could feel that connection. For me, I could feel that connection. So I'd recommend this to anyone who wants to just have a good time. It's a good, wholesome story. I could consider this a kind of a family friendly, like, it's not like super family friendly, but because of the swearing and such and like the violence. But I think it's a good film to have everyone sit down as a family when you're like teenagers or something and watch it. It's really good. It's something that I would show my kids, because this is something that's basically depicting what I dealt with as having a sibling with special needs. And having this connection is just so wholesome and pure. And the development in this film is just so nice and refreshing to see a story that's told with this scenario. It's just so good.
I feel like you don't even have to have that kind of connection with any people in your past that maybe have special needs. I do. Eli does. We both have that kind of connection. But you don't even need it. I don't think you need it to connect with these characters. The way they are portrayed, the way they are played, just the development throughout, it is so easy to connect with every single one of them, especially Zach. I don't think you even need that in your background. I feel like this is a movie anybody can watch and you will thoroughly enjoy. It's got comedy, it's got suspense, it's got fun, it's got love interest. It was just a great movie all the way around. The plot, the story, all of it was just amazing. You won't regret watching it. Just go pick it up. Do it. You will not regret it.
Yes, I do agree. My final score was a 9.25. I went up 0.75.
Mine stayed at a 10.
So as we wrap up this week's episode of Nerd Taku Podcast, I would like to talk about next week's episode. We watched the trailer for the 2002 action-adventure Disney film, Treasure Planet. Now, this trailer had those early 2000 vibes.
Absolutely. That's what makes them fun.
Dude, the early 2000 vibes.
In the world,
Like,
this happened. All of this is going on. You got that deep voice. Oh, fuck yeah. Early 2000s,
And it
boy.
was so-
Fuck yeah.
It was so good. I love he's searching for gold, but more than that. It was just it was fun. You could feel the fun. And then he's like, November 27th. It's It's like, we were 8 when that came out. It was just so good. I haven't seen this film in a while. It's truly one of my favorite Disney films, probably my favorite Disney film growing up as a kid. Like, I started off with The Lion King, but this film really cemented into my life. So I'm giving this an 8, and I'm hoping it doesn't disappoint as an adult.
I agree. I haven't seen it in a while. Watching the trailer solely based on the trailer alone, not past memories, not thinking about what I had seen before or how I'd felt before. Solely based on what I watched with this trailer, I am giving this trailer a 7.
I like to thank everyone for tuning in to this week. If you'd like to follow us, we're on Instagram, Threads, and Twitter at nerd_taku_podcast. You can also find this show on YouTube under Kingdom Notes Studios. My name is Eli.
I'm Ben.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Have a great week.
Thanks, guys. Can't wait to see you next week.
Wanna hear you go